New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And Michelle Wadleigh right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit. It's a Friday morning, 7 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone. And we are very grateful to be with you. Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadleigh, a.k.a. also known as Rev Jersey Girl. And great fan and friend. I will raise my mug as well.
Yeah, well, thank you. I have a mug.
Well, I'll tell you, we are very grateful that you are here with us today and have a chance to have a conversation. You know, Rev Z and I have realized that oftentimes the big news of the week happens Friday midday, sort of after this program. And
is that true?
And we miss a lot of good news that we don't talk about on this. But last night, I don't want to call it the good news, but the big news happened yesterday late afternoon. If you haven't heard yet, friends, Israel has bombed Iran. And, you know, they're claiming that they manipulated the leadership to all be in the same place to be able to bomb them. So Iran is saying that they learned enough about their enemy, quote, enemy's leaders to go through, and I don't know what all the details were, but they followed a series of steps that they felt confident would create a need for a meeting of all the leaders to come together. That did happen, and then they bombed and killed them.
Wow. And
their supreme leader, the Ayatollah, is still alive. However, most of their top military leaders have been killed in this bombing, as well as targeting military and nuclear infrastructure targets. This is all under the guise of making sure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb. So a little bit of like,
I have to just breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we are right now. People were talking and half-heartedly joking about fascists and all of these types of behaviors. And right now, fascism is rising up the totem pole, if you will. Probably shouldn't have said totem pole, but it's rising up the flagpole. Let me put it that way. Because the behaviors of sending in troops, National Guard to protests for legal protests and circumventing the local government to do it, and then claiming to arrest the local government and things like this across the country. It's not just, it's across the country. These types of leaders are popping up, and it's crazy. And I just want to take a moment before we go down that track, because my head was hurting just talking about it. I want to send some prayers out to the people who lost their lives and family in that air crash out of India.
India, yeah.
And there is a sole survivor of that accident that was sitting in seat A11. Now, 11 just happened to be a master number, but that's just speculation. But can you imagine the grief that he's feeling?
Oh
And
my
so
God.
we sent some prayers
Especially since he
around
lost his
him
brother,
and
right?
his family and the family of everybody that was affected.
It's you guys do the news, right? That's your thing, and you're always on top of it and always reporting it. For me, I bring it into, oh my God, I am feel assaulted. Like you can't open social media, you can't open the news, you can't open a paper if you still read a paper without being assaulted. And it's like, okay, which crisis do I pay attention to first? And then the needs. How do I, if I'm somebody who wants to help, well, where's the priority? And then of course, man, I forget who said it. I saw a clip of one of the senators saying that America is for Americans. I'm like, oh Lord, this country isn't ours. It was never ours to begin with. We stole it. We murdered and raped and stole it. So what are you talking about? And I can't help but go back that far. I can't help it. That's, so it's just the rage, just all of it is just, I feel physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally exhausted by trying to face the news, talk to you guys, not react not react with where it turns into stress. And so it is just the impact. The impact is humongous.
And imagine those who don't have some kind of spiritual network,
right,
spiritual grounding,
yes,
to help navigate these turbulent waters.
I think about it all the time, and I I watch some people who don't even know that this is insane.
Yeah.
They might think it's, they're doing the best they can. They might think, oh, our government knows. Oh, our president knows. I'm sure there's some people who think that that's all true and wouldn't even question the insanity of these leaders and the greed and the power hunger. Oh my Lord, have mercy.
There's been a couple of conversations this week on some socials that more about directly, if you would, internal conversations within science of mind, a little more even specifically CSO type people. And I keep being called a Marxist.
You are called a Marxist?
Me, yeah. Me and others that are promoting, that are not necessarily, that are having political conversations, that are having conversations around the protests in LA, not the riots, the protests in LA. Because we've seen riots before. These are not riots. These are protests. Have there been some bad actors? Have there been some infiltrators? Yes. But for the most part, that was actually those were very limited incidences to only one day of what's now in day 6 or 7 of a major protest. And I've had people calling me Marxist. And I always was like, so I looked it up, right? Part of that ideology really is the struggle of the class worker against the capitalist. And in many ways, you can look at where we are as a country, as a people, and I think to many degrees, the capitalist experiment has failed.
Because it's gone to the extreme. It's gone to the extreme. That's why.
if you run a horse will run until it dies if you don't take care of the horse. If you just put a horse out in the field and give it an open field and let it run forever, it will. If you leave a bag of dog food in the house, the dog will eat until it's sick. It does not have that mechanism to say enough is enough. I don't think that we have a mechanism at least within American capitalism, that says enough is enough. Dolly Parton's got more money than most people will ever imagine to have, but she's not building a condo on Mars. She's buying books and giving them to people that need it. She's buying clothes and giving them to people that need it. So how do you rein in an unbridled system, like what I did with the bridle there? That was planned. How do we rein in an unbridled system such as capitalism? And I'm not saying we need to be a completely socialist country. I'm not saying that there's a whole new, I think, ideology coming forward. Z's going to get in on this. We'll give Michelle some time to ruminate upon it. Z, get in.
Here is one aspect of it for me. Our current system of government is based on several, at least pulled a lot from several First Nation people who had a circle, council, Senate, Congress, you call them what you want. There was a figurehead, whoever the big chief was, if I just take the indigenous from this country. But sometimes there were several chiefs within a tribe that had a council that came to decisions. And as we talked about before, several, if not many, of the first world people, definitely the indigenous from here, said, when we make a decision, we need to make it with 7 generations in mind. It is not for the immediacy. The only way something happens immediate is the tornado is coming across the friggin' mountains and we got to do something right now. We won't be here for 7. Other than that, there was a mindset that, yes, this may be expedient, but it's going to put everybody in peril. And these guys and gals and whoever's with their toys,
yeah,
they just, they're just trying to play. Now, I get it. Everybody wants to have fun and do nice things and have good memories, but not at the detriment of humanity. And that's where we are right now, I think. And it's just, it's making me sick to my stomach.
Well, we definitely have a failed system in so many ways. And but we can't help but see the world and see our country through the framework. I shouldn't really speak for you. I'll speak for myself. Through the framework of shared leadership and servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And having one person at the top who, anytime, any one person, it's illogical, especially unless they are somebody who actually takes serious their counsel. I mean, they appoint a council, but if they're not paying attention to the council, or I remember when I was, in the pulpit, I liked having board members on the board that I knew wouldn't agree with me. I know that that's not always popular. I don't want a bunch of yes people. I want my opinions challenged. I want the ideas challenged. I want some no people, because the no people make us dig deeper and look for bigger, more valuable answers. And this, what we have is people sucking up. Even I'm sure half these Republicans know this is out of control, but because it's tied into their livelihood, and a livelihood that if they keep getting voted in goes for a very long time, which is ridiculous. I know my husband's been saying it for years, that they should all have term limits on their, and and I love the idea. There's a guy I saw that said that every representative of a particular state should only receive the amount of money that is, oh my God, I can't get the word out, with it, that represents the income of those people of that state. And they should get the insurance of those people of that state. And if they want more, then they have to raise the income of the people in their state so that it's everybody, all boats rise. But that's not what's happening. And we have these people into their, listen, I'm almost 70. It's not about ageism, but they've been in there for decades. We need some fresh blood.
Yeah.
And then they leave and they keep getting paid these exorbitant amount of money. Boy, there'd be a quick way to reduce some of the deficit. Have them, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
rest of us live on Medicare. It's broken. It's broken in every direction.
We have created a political class.
Yeah.
And I do believe that is incredibly detrimental, because I saw an article recently, I forget who it was, and I forget if it was a Democrat turning Republican or a Republican turning Democrat or whatever, but you shouldn't be able to like switch parties in the middle of a term, because it's not about you. It's not about you as a senator. It's not about what you believe. It's about what you were elected to represent.
Yeah.
The people you were elected to represent. And too many of our elected officials lose that. They think it's about them, and they think they know the answer, and they think they have the answer. And that's not, and they're there to represent the collective of their people. And you said something there, Michelle, right? Having a board that does and doesn't agree with you. And I love the idea of how we can create a society where people feel empowered, but they're not just left to run loose. The president's cabinet is there to inform and help make those decisions, but it feels like right now everybody's just let to run loose, and you can do whatever the hell you want. Pete Hegseth can say whatever he wants. Kristi Noem can say whatever he wants. RFK Jr. yesterday made some crazy statement about not allowing scientists to publish in medical journals, and that all the medical journals are corrupt, and we've got to create in-house medical journals for scientists. That sounds like creating the state, right? They're just let to run loose. And the guy at the top has no friggin' clue what they're doing or what's going on.
And here's the alarm that's just ringing. You know how you set your alarm sometime and it goes off, and oh my God, you don't want to cut it off, but eventually you do, right? But when you see that these are alarm bells that are just ringing and ringing, and everybody's turning over. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know if you remember that movie that came out, The Truman Show.
Yeah.
With Carrey. What's his name?
Jim Carrey, yeah.
Jim Carrey, right? Who had been filmed. I mean, the whole premise of the thing is from his moment of birth, he's been filmed 24/7, and everybody around him, even his loved ones, were actors, right? And they lost the script, and he started figuring out what the heck was going on. We're in a Truman Show right now, everybody. And either you're Truman or you one of the paid actors. Figure out where you are and go.
Well,
and Trump is the guy that's supposed to be in the control room directing it, but has thought that he has become one of the characters, right? Now he thinks he's supposed to be in the show. Michelle, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. I kind of lost my thought because I was trying to pay attention, but there is And anyone conscious and anyone not pleasing, not in total horror about what's going on, we really have to get ourselves grounded. I mean, because that was the other piece. We have to get ourselves grounded so that our communication and everything is more potent, number one. And we do need to stay also conscious that there are subcultures coming slow. They're a slow grow. And you and I spoke about this last time I was on your show, Robert. We spoke about the communal living. Well, those communities and people doing that, it's very slow, but it's a slow grow. And those people are an example of, just wanting to unplug from the matrix, matrix. I was telling my class the other night, I just got done teaching this authenticity class. And I was sitting in my home and I suddenly had I was, dropped into a contemplation about how many things around me, even in my house, the way I live, the choices I make, are not really conscious. And now I've known that I know of a load of conscious thoughts, but most of us are living really in an unconscious, conditioned way. We are so hypnotized, so plugged in, that it's very difficult. It is very difficult to wonder and realize that, this is not the world I want to live in. This is not the way I want to live.
We have become mesmerized. When I'm hearing what you're saying, we are mesmerized into this maze of life, or this labyrinth of life that's made up under constant surveillance. And if you step outside the path that they want you, they will manufacture, or they will do something to push you back to where they want you. Because when we look at what's going on now, this whole thing, like free will, there are very few people who are willing, because they're afraid for their life, whether they're immigrants or native citizens or U.S. citizens, they are afraid to do things because they don't want to suffer the consequences, which could be death. If you get on the wrong side of the argument at the right place at the right time, it could be curtains. And so this idea of what does it mean to be courageous? What does it mean to be for life? Not, we always have for something and against nothing. Well, I get the little poetic play on that, but I'm against laying in the ant's bed and allowing the ants to just bite me at will. I'm against that.
Yeah.
And so we live in a life of ongoing balance, and we got to figure out how to do it, and not ignore one side just to say, I'm for something or whatever. I don't know. It's heart-wrenching.
And I think we've been saying this for a little while now, right? There is a great opportunity before us. There's a great opportunity before us, not just as new thought, not just as spiritual folk, but there is a great opportunity before us as a human race to remind ourselves that we're really one. We are one family. We are one human race here. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention what's happening on Saturday. There are over 1,900 now registered protest sites across the United States. Many major cities also have ancillary locations for, I know Denver is not, a lot of people are going to be in Colorado are going to be in Denver, but there are ancillary protests, no king marches in all of the other minor cities around the Denver metro area. So not everybody's going to be downtown. In all of this, I think it is imperative that we take forward a message of unity, love, oneness, compassion. We can't be out there screaming F Trump and F ICE and the battle cries that are being used to get in the face of the National Guardsmen. And I pray that we don't call more troops out this weekend, that he keeps them all in DC with his, but there is something scary about a leader centralizing military power and equipment around his house to protect him on his birthday when the rest of the nation is saying, we don't want this anymore. And so we've got to be really conscious about the vibration, the energetic perspective, what we take into this weekend, right? My sign says, one side says we are one, and the other side I'm not sure of yet, but it might be one world, one family. It might be unity is strength, right? It might be, but whatever the other side of the sign is going to be, it's not going to be anti. It's not going to be the ugly.
Well, I did not realize. Months ago, we scheduled working, Planned Happiness Institute, collaborating with CSL&J, and I was not aware of anybody's birthday. I was not aware of what was going on. I don't know if it was planned that far in advance, but I didn't know. So tomorrow, I'm going to be immersed in peace. We are having a peace concert.
Yep.
Because of all the things you guys are talking about, I could feel my body being like, getting stressed in the conversation. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in heaven. And for almost 2 hours, we're going to have these incredible musicians, and we're going to bring together a good old-fashioned peace-raising experience with just whoever shows up at the door. And I because I do read the news, I watch it, that I am of no value when I am so depleted. That I know. I bring no value. And so I've even I've redirected my Substack again to be a Substack that's really for people. I want to cultivate compassion. I want to cultivate, emotional health and stuff. Why? Because if we think we know what we're doing and we're feeling assaulted, I just feel for all the people who are helpless and hopeless. And I mean, so we have to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, all of us.
I think there's something really important about not everybody marching on tomorrow. I think there's something really important that you scheduled a peace conference. And I know that Sharif Abdullah scheduled a webinar and long ago, and has actually had to move locations because the original location said, well, we're going to end up with too many marchers and too many protesters. So we're concerned you won't be able to access. So he's had to move. Yeah. And I know that Reverend Deborah Johnson had scheduled an event, mostly because I'm helping to facilitate it tomorrow morning, that she has an event that is based around visioning and a Saturday morning workshop and she is very involved in the consciousness of these conversations. And so there's going to be groups of people, and this is, to me, points to it, right? There's these groups of people that without coordination are creating very similar complementary type of events and experiences to help us raise that vibe.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big weekend.
Oh, it's going to be a huge weekend, because when you think about the parade, that's not a birthday parade, but it just happens to be on a certain day that makes it that kind of parade. When we look through history, when these type of parades were put on by leaders, just to name a few, Adolf Hitler, that guy was one, Joseph Stalin, Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, Xi, these guys put these parades on as propaganda of fear and rabble rousing and pumping my chest to say, I will take you off this planet if you screw around with me. What person with any sense of humanity, I'll clarify it a little bit, would do that? I mean, to put everything at risk because your ego, your whatever is just so big and you're so privileged and you're so arrogant that you don't see the connection of everything. It's mind-boggling to me that people can't see that.
I'm mostly sad about the I know there are closet Republicans every night, probably not able to sleep, but not willing to challenge.
Right.
I know these are intelligent people.
Yep.
You know, I put something on my Facebook page of the day, and I really haven't been entering this, but with all this, you know, this stuff going on in LA, I put a WTF, you know, where was he during the insurrection, you know, and oh my Lord have mercy, the unfolding of things, of people responding in the chat. But I will tell you one thing, and this goes to being conscious. What happened was people were in disagreement on this chat, but they never stopped being civil. So I commented and I congratulated everybody for a civil conversation while there was disagreement, because I would have just removed it anyway. I'm not giving air to that stuff. But I don't mind being in disagreement, and I don't mind a good, healthy disagreement as long as we are not tearing each other down. As long as we're not tearing each other down. Yeah, that's right. I see Linda saying about the Pride Fest. Yeah, I mean, I wound up picking the date, and I didn't know that it's one of the bigger festivals because you know they do it. There's no consistent one day. It happens throughout the month of June. So tomorrow is going to be the Pride Fest. It's going to be the Peace Concert. And they're going to be rallies. You know.
Good. And to me, these are the things that remind us of our humanity, of our that we are in this together. That not everybody out there is willing to play silent. That's what I hear you saying, Michelle, and I see it within our own colleagues. I am aware of a few licensed and ordained CSL ministers right now. And it's not about that they believe differently, but to me, it is about the fact that they'll leave a snarky comment. They'll leave a comment on somebody else's thread. But if you check out what they're doing, everything is what they put out is all love and light. They're not actually presenting what they believe publicly. Mm-hmm. They're putting out great affirmations and but in the comments of other people's posts, it's like, you got to be kidding me. And you got a science of mind symbol as your profile picture? Holy you got to be kidding me. And you're saying this stuff to people privately, and you won't stand behind what you believe publicly. I want more. I don't want the spiritual bypass. I don't want to just pretend we can change it all by singing Kumbaya together and dancing around a campfire, because people are being arrested and disappeared in our streets.
You bring up a good point of a misconception I think a lot of people have when they say love and light. Light, as we know, is the foundation of everything we know, i.e. energy. We know that, right? Mm-hmm. At gazillion levels. But what I think some people forget is I can take light, I can brighten up this room, and we can have a nice lighted background. I can take that light and I can heal. I can do corneal surgery and heal my eye. or I can use that very same light and blow up this entire planet. If you do not understand the principles, the property, and the environment that supports and uses light to do what it does, you create more havoc and you wind up blowing up many planets, if you will, by not understanding the definition of what light is.
Right.
And I believe we have a lot of metaphysical, new thought ministers who have not experienced the light of Florida when it's 110 degrees and that light is burning your behind, right? You go find some shade. You don't want no more light when that happens. You look, please take this light away. It's burning. We have to understand how the universe works and stop trying to pick a side, because it's all sides.
Well, how much more time do we have, by the way? Do we go to, is it 45 minutes?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
We own the airwaves, so we can do whatever we want.
Because I want to, we've kind of been all over the place, and I wanted to see if I can create, because one of the things, as we do as practitioners and as I do as a counselors, I listen for threads, for threads and for the pearls that need to be strung together. And I think this is, just me, but I think while the shit is hitting the fan straight out, while we are being blasted and when I say blasted, if we're blasted, we have the luxury of not being in the fire in their target, right? I'm only feeling this as an observer. We haven't even begun to sit here and empathize with the people who are the actual targets, who are actually doing without all the changes, all the financial changes that have happened, and the impact, for those people. And so we, while we're saying this, we haven't even felt the worst of it. Because we have that luxury. But what I truly believe in my heart, in my soul, as a metaphysician, as a science of mind, minister, that I can agree with those who say we should stay in principle, but we need to learn how to take that principle and speak a new reality into being without ignoring it. So for me, it's doing the healing work so I'm more plugged in, I'm more hooked up to spirit, so that every word that I speak, so my intentionality has more power. And so that's where I think the two can come together. I'm not going to ignore it, because I will never ignore human rights. I will never, and I agree with you, Z, be for something and not against anything. Well, that's okay until someone you care about is on the ground. Until someone you care about whose rights are being denied, until a woman dies because she can't have an abortion, until, a couple that have, that thought they were going to be married, suddenly their rights are being threatened if that's still happening in all those states. I haven't checked in a while. So that's okay until then. Now, at that point, no, I'm sorry. I do stand against. And I think we have to be able to and leave everyone alone. Like you want to do principle only. Oh, okay, I'll leave you alone. But don't trash me.
But don't tell me I'm wrong because I want to be involved in social justice.
Let's do both end. Let's say, okay, principle end. Okay, social activism end. Objection to horror, please. And let's do it through principle, maybe. But it has to be a both end. It has to be.
Treat and move your feet.
Yeah.
We say it all the time. But
and just think about the many divine revelations we have that speak to wholeness. I'm not going to give up my left hand to spite my right hand, right? I'm just not. Now, if it happens, I can make adjustments, but that the intent is to keep the wholeness whole so it works easily and effortlessly, and it makes the adjustments as needed. If I start arbitrarily cutting things off because I think they serve me better, or they don't serve me at all, when I get into that holistic moment of need, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And we don't get these, we don't observe. That's what our ancient ones did. They observed. There's the saying that said God gave you 2 eyes and 2 ears so that you can look and listen more than you talk. That same metaphor goes out that we have to be observant before we act.
But if we had 2 mouths, I could actually just talk to myself all the time. Sorry, I just had to.
I think that's called journaling. I think we could do that in our journals. Yes. No, we stumbled across something here because we do see people out there talking with 2 mouths.
Oh yeah.
We see that in our political system right now. People everywhere talking out of both sides of their mouth. Yeah. And before we do run out of time here today, I want to draw in something Linda shared a little while ago. Recently been drawn to reread the book Power versus Force. That's on my bookcase there. I'm pretty sure both of you have read it at one time or another.
Yeah.
And reminded that those that are centered in the power of the all or the oneness balance out a large amount of negative vibration, thought, energy. We must live in, center in and live in our wisdom. Yes, we do, I believe, have the power to not even balance out, but override the negativity that's out there.
Yeah, as long as we're grounded and plugged in.
And I wrote about this in my Substack about a week or so ago, that I fell into one of those places, and I can tell you exactly who the woman's name is. And the only reason she's on my list is because I like keeping an eye on what the other side believes and the vitriol they spout. And I got into that thread of commenting back and forth and forgetting that, nobody's mind has ever been changed by something they read on Facebook.
Nothing.
And this person has absolutely no desire to see the world, to consider the world in any form other than what they already believe and know. And all I did was create angst, anxiety, pissosity, and at one point outright rage because of within Facebook. And fully cognizant that it's not going to do any good. It felt good. I got to say, I did like the chemicals running through the body for a moment there.
Yeah, I've lost my taste for that. I have to be honest.
But you lose your taste for that. That addiction wanes when you start to practice. Yeah. And I wrote a Substack just coming to terms with, hey, I did it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to fall into the void. But if we can take that deep belief in oneness, if we can take our deeper understanding of all that New Thought teaches, and that's part of why I love what we do around this network, is we get to have these conversations.
I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I have family members who voted not like me, and I absolutely refuse to not continue to love them completely.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them. I probably shouldn't talk politics to a couple of them. There's a couple I can, but I refuse not to love them. And that's the stand. You will not get me off that stand. You will not make me not love. Not happening.
Well, there it is, folks. Neither of us got anything to say.
All you need is love.
All you need is love. Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Michelle. Bringing it home for us right on time, too. Look at that, folks. It's quarter of the hour. We've got to get out of here and let you get back into the rest of your day. And I hope you'll join us throughout the day here on New Thought Media Network. As always, we've got a good day of programming. Up next, Get Rich 101 with Sekou Wrights is on the air. Morning prayer start at 8:15. Rev Melissa with the morning sip at 8:30, 9:30. Viviendo en oración. I'm finally going to start saying it in Spanish. Living in prayer with our Spanish language prayer team. The High Vibe Hour with Rev Skip is at 11 o'clock. And guess what? I'm his special guest today. So if you didn't get enough of me this morning, come on back at 11. Just One You with Barbara Jean is up at 1 o'clock. Divine Science Everywhere at 2 o'clock. One of our up-and-coming programs. Really, really, really fun show at 2 o'clock. Divine Science Everywhere. And now the good news at 5, and our fireside chat with Reverend Michael at 6. So again, we've got a full day of programming. Join us throughout the week. Join us throughout the weekend. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here. Dear
Thanks,
one,
guys.
Michelle, we'll have you back again, I am sure. And Z, I look forward to being with you. We've got a great interview coming up next week on New Thought Today. So we'll talk more about that at another time. Yeah. All right. We're out of here. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.